Hello everyone, it's Dr. Kellie Cassidy, Clinical Psychologist and owner at Cassidy Psychology in Mount Pleasant and Canning Vale. Today I want to speak with you about whether you're a critic or a cheerleader for your child. Now, I got to thinking about this topic over the weekend when my 9-year-old daughter decided to set up a day spa in our bathroom and pamper me for the afternoon, which was really sweet and really lovely of her. But I found myself having to use quite a few of my skills to make sure that it remained a pleasant experience and that my critic didn't take over and turn it into an unpleasant experience, I guess. Because, she's 9 after all, and there were things that she didn't do quite well, like when a piece of mint and parsley were getting pushed up my nose, or when she clogged the basin with rose petals, or she decided to use the really good towels, which were her brother's rather than her own, and they got face mask and goop and all sorts of things over them. And through all of these processes, I found that critic wanting to come out of me and tell her off and say, "What were you thinking? That was a stupid thing to do." And all of those sorts of things were going on in my mind, but I chose not to act on them. And the reason that I did that is because we know that criticism isn't a good thing. It doesn't help. Now, I could be thinking to myself, well, that's going to teach her not, what to do and what not to do. But at the same time, we all know when we're criticised, it can be really demoralising, and it has the opposite effect. It usually creates a sense of shame in people. It creates avoidance and withdrawal behaviours. It often leads in children in particular to secrecy and lying rather than changing their behaviour the way we want to. And also, if it's continuing over time, it creates a sense of low self-esteem, that people don't feel good enough. So criticism just really isn't the way to go with this. I really like the saying, criticisms complain, feedback explains. Constructive feedback is good and really helpful, and some of the things that happened on the weekend I want my daughter to learn from, but it's the way we go about it. So I just want to offer a few tips today about how you can be that cheerleader and how you can do that constructive feedback, I should say, there I go again, for your child. So first of all, listen, understand their point of view. You don't have to agree with it, but try and understand it. So when I said to my daughter, why did you use your brother's towels? It was, well, Mum, they were the closest. So in her mind, it made sense that she just grabbed the first towel that was there without thinking that he might need that for his shower that night, or that it might stain with all the different goop and things that she was choosing to use, and that maybe an old towel might have been a good idea. But then that's for me to educate her and her to learn from. But if I had criticised it, that learning most likely wouldn't have happened. So it's really important too then, when you're giving that feedback, to make sure you're being compassionate, that we need to drop the anger that you might be feeling, drop the tone, and really use a compassionate and empathic approach to giving that feedback. And then use a teaching framework. So rather than just telling her, you shouldn't have done that, get her to think about it for herself and develop her own critical thinking skills. Why do you think it might not have been a good idea to pull the plug with all the rose petals in the basin, for instance, was one thing I found myself saying. And she honestly had no concept, I don't know why, that the rose petals would clog the drain up and might cause a bigger problem. So again, it was learning, but rather than me just telling her, it's asking that question and prompting her. What did you think might happen? That can be really helpful. And I guess it's also the thing that I found myself doing on the weekend was making sure I was tuning into the intent of her behaviour. She was doing something really lovely for me. She invited me in, she had candles going, she had spa music playing, and it was, "Mum, come in, close your eyes and just relax, I'm going to take care of you," which was a really, really beautiful thing for her to do, and it kept her busy all afternoon, being creative, making a face mask and setting things up, and it was a really lovely experience for her. So reminding myself of the intent, even though it wasn't pleasant when there was face mask and things getting pushed up my nose and stuff went in my eye and all the rest of it, it was still beautiful at the same time. And so that next thing is, I guess, showing that appreciation of the effort rather than necessarily the outcome. And then finally, my last tip is make sure you do the repair if necessary. So if something happens and you absolutely lose it at your child, you get angry because they did something wrong and you start being really critical of that mistake that they've made, go back later and do the repair. And by that I mean take the time to say, hey, you know what, I think I probably overreacted before. I got really angry when you made that mistake and I probably went a little bit too far in that. And some people think that that might not be a good idea, but actually it is. It shows your kid that you reflect on your own behaviour, you reflect on your own emotions, and that, hey, sometimes we all go a bit too far and we might do something before we really think about it. So it's really important for that repair, and that's going to be important for your relationship with your child. So I hope those tips are really helpful for you if you find that yourself falling into the trap of always criticising your child, or perhaps even someone else at work, or your husband, partner, whoever it might be. Those tips are going to be equally as useful, but I think certainly really important with children in terms of maintaining their self-esteem and helping them grow into the most wonderful little people they can be. That's all for me for today. As always, here at Cassidy Psychology, we're working together with you to help you flourish and thrive. If you'd like to know more information about how to provide constructive feedback, how to be a cheerleader for your child, or anything else to do with helping your child flourish, please get in contact with us at the practice. We're more than happy to answer your questions or to help out as we see we can. And that's all for me today. I'll look forward to speaking with you all again very soon. Bye for now.